In May 2026, tourists returning from a South American birdwatching excursion boarded their cruise ship. Within days, several passengers developed rapidly progressing respiratory failure. The ship's medical staff faced a confusing clinical picture. The initial fatigue, fever, and muscle aches mirrored routine cases of the flu or COVID-19. But soon, these patients were gasping for air as their lungs inexplicably filled with fluid. Laboratory tests eventually isolated the pathogen causing the damage. It was hantavirus. This cruise ship cluster demonstrates that hantavirus is an active, persistent hazard. It lurks quietly in the environment, striking when humans unwittingly cross into its territory. U.S. public health officials first confronted this exact pathology in 1993. In the Four Corners region of the American Southwest, a severe respiratory illness began killing young, entirely healthy adults. Doctors labeled it a mystery flu as the death toll climbed. Epidemiologists investigated the cluster noticed a terrifying pattern. These patients hadn't caught the illness from each other. They were contracting it directly from their environment. The pathogen, later named the sin nombre virus, had been hiding in plain sight for millennia. It was living silently within the wild animal populations that surround our homes, cabins, and trails. To survive this invisible threat, we need to look closely at how it operates. We have to decode the exact biological sequence of how hantavirus leaps out of nature and attacks the human body. In North America, the primary carrier of the virus is the deer mouse, though researchers recently discovered that over 30 different small mammal species, including chipmunks and ground squirrels, can also carry live strains. These animals possess an unusual biological quirk. They don't get sick. The virus harmlessly coexists and multiplies inside their tissue. As the animal moves through a forest or empty cabin, it constantly sheds the virus into the environment through its saliva, urine, and droppings. The danger peaks when that waste dries out. If a human sweeps that cabin floor, they trigger aerosolization. The broom disturbs the dry matter, launching microscopic viral particles into the breathable air. Infection relies entirely on a geographical accident. A perfectly mundane chore triggers a biological spillover. Once inhaled, those viral particles travel deep into the human respiratory tract and slip directly into the bloodstream. Hantavirus targets the endothelial cells lining your blood vessels, latching on to multiply. Under this attack, the vessel structure breaks down. In the Americas, this triggers hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. The compromised vessels leak blood plasma directly into the lungs, drowning the patient. In Europe and Asia, different strains cause a different presentation. There, the vascular leakage primarily attacks the kidneys, causing hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome. Across both regions, the virus almost never spreads from human to human. But there is one exception, the Andes virus in South America, which carries a mutation allowing it to pass directly between people. The specific geography of the rodent host dictates exactly which type of systemic failure the human body will endure. Treating this infection is exceptionally difficult. The virus can incubate quietly for anywhere from 1 to 8 weeks. When the fever and muscle aches finally appear, this prodrome phase actively misleads doctors into diagnosing a routine flu. By the time shortness of breath begins, the medical options are grim. There is no cure, no vaccine, and no specific antiviral medication that can clear hantavirus once symptoms escalate. The only effective medical defense is early recognition. Patients require immediate admission to an intensive care unit for specialized oxygen therapy, which keeps them breathing while their own immune system battles the pathogen. Because medicine cannot reliably neutralize the virus after infection, human survival depends entirely on stopping it before it breaches the body. To understand why we are seeing clusters in unexpected places, we have to look away from the hospital bed and back to the global ecosystem. This chart shows the correlation between climate events and outbreak risk. When weather patterns like El Niño bring heavy, prolonged rainfall, the supply of wild seeds and nuts surges. With abundant food, the rodent population explodes, heavily concentrating the viral load in the surrounding environment. The primary defense against this density is changing how we interact with wild spaces. If you find rodent droppings in a shed or cabin, never sweep or vacuum them dry. Instead, soak the area with liquid disinfectants and wipe it up wet, neutralizing the threat of aerosolization. We cannot eradicate hantavirus from the wild, But by understanding its biology and respecting the ecology that drives it, we can navigate its territory safely and bring